So I've got basic setup for my fire stairs and the facade. I'm going to show you the 3D view with everything else hidden. It's getting close with the 3-panel window there, and I've just put in one of the 2-panel windows which I can then easily copy across the rest of that facade. And so looking at the image of the building here, you can see that those upper windows have that arched opening, and so coming around here, okay, that's not a great view, but we'll come back out, and unfortunately going down Reservoir Street, the tree's going to block it, so we'll see here, this should be better, there we are, and so you do have it on the other side though, with the 3-panel window. So I'm going to modify those window families, put the arch in, and load them back in. So maybe I will start with one that we know is arched. I'll just select this one up here. It doesn't really make much difference, but doesn't hurt. And I'm going to just click Edit Family, and that will take me to the file. And there, actually, you can see this is the version that I gave you, which you can see doesn't have the glass and has no materials either on the frame. And so what I'm going to do is actually get the newer version, and this is an important thing as well when you're managing and working with your families generally. So this is the older version, which is the one that I've got currently loaded, and I'm going to close that file just on the main menu. There we are. I'm going to choose Close. So that in itself is an important thing. If you don't know that, that's often the best way to close a file and make sure all the views are closed. And no, I'm going to click there. I don't want to save any changes. And so before I add in the arch, I want to make sure I've got the latest version of this family. So I'm going to go then and just click the Open button and find the newer version that I know I've got somewhere. There we are. New drive, and I'll save it in here. Yes, yeah, you would have, yeah. So actually, no, it's not in that one, it's in Canto. There we are. So, yeah, so that's a more recent version. And so by opening it, obviously I can inspect it, and then if I use Load into Project, then it'll give me the option to overwrite the existing version. And if you've wondered then what the difference between these two options is, this is a really good example, because I know that I've probably made a new size for this window to suit that spacing between the piers. And I probably would, in fact I know that I would have done that in the project. And so in the family, it has different parameter values. And that means if I overwrite the existing version and its parameter values, I'm going to lose those changes that I've made in the project file. So here it's not a good option to use that choice of overwriting the parameters. Instead I'm going to use the first option just to overwrite the existing version, which will bring in the new family, but it'll keep things like the sizes, and I'll show you that if I go to Edit Type. So the size here, 3830 by 2400. I created that size in the project file, and it's kept it again as I chose the first option. So that's usually a good process if you're going to make changes to a family and then turn it into a new family, which is what I'm doing here. You of course want to make or start with the family that's got as many of the things that you want, or the changes that you've made to that original file. So now if I, again, with that family selected, go to Edit Family, it's going to take me to the one with those changes. You can see zooming in there, it's got the glass and the materials. So then to put the arch in, firstly I might just go to the photo again, and so you can see that if we could see the brickwork, clearly, then we'll be able to project across from the top of that arch and count bricks to work out the height. It's a bit hard there at that zoom level, but I'm going to guess and say it's maybe 7 brick courses. Okay, so it's too late for me to do maths in my head, so I'll just calculate that. So 7 times 85, 595. So let's say 600. And so that's really all I need to know before I can start drawing in the arch. So the first thing that you need to change the shape of that opening is the opening. There's a thing in Revit called an opening, and it's there on the edge, but you can see it's highlighting my wall when I move to that edge. If you're lucky, when you move the cursor around, it will sometimes highlight the opening object, but there you can see it's not coming up for me. It's giving me the wall or the window, but not the opening. You can use tab, and that will definitely get it if you're in the right spot, and I'm not, so it's not actually giving it to me, but there we go, that's got it. So with my cursor still, and if you're having trouble with this tab option, cycling through all the different selection options, the trick really is to keep your cursor in one spot, don't move it an inch, and then as you press tab each time, it will cycle through everything that you can select in that location. So here I'm just cycling through everything repeatedly, and it will eventually come back to the opening, and that's it there. You can see highlighted really inside the wall behind the window a little bit. So I'm going to click to select it, and you can see over here in properties it tells me I've got that opening cut object. Another way of selecting it, if that isn't working for you, because it can be a bit tricky, you can just make a window around everything, and then go to filter, and just turn off everything except the opening cut. And there should only be one. In a family especially, you only have that one opening cut object. So I'm going to click OK, and again I've got my opening cut selected. So? No, you won't see it. It's a 2D object, and it's going to be behind a lot of the 3D things, so you won't see it at first. Oh no, exactly. It's the selection filter. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, because there are other types of filters like display filters. And, yeah. So again, it's selected, and often the only way you can tell is by looking somewhere like the properties panel. And so as long as I can see that the opening cut is selected, then I can go to Edit Sketch, and now I can see the outline a lot more clearly. And but I'm still going to change views to either the interior or the exterior elevation. It doesn't really matter. I'll go to exterior, and then I'm going to set out a reference plane. And so if you're doing this when you're editing that opening, it obviously will open this panel or this tab for you. But you can always go back to the Create tab while you're working on the opening to make a reference plane. So up here you've got the reference plane tool, and I'm just going to draw one above the window, and then change that height to, or the height there to 600 from the top of the opening. And that actually looks a bit high to me, so maybe my guess was wrong. Oh. Well, this is the two panel. The 3 panel will be a bit different. I think maybe I have gone a bit high. So let's try, let's cancel that and select the plane again. So I might try 500. Yeah. Still maybe a bit high, but so. And actually, I think what's really throwing me off here is that I haven't brought the side down. So, looking at this sash, you can see that the bottom sash is still almost as square, but then the top's been cut off, the top one. So side here on the right would be the same height as the sash on the bottom, and then it curves down from there. So what I'll do later is bring that down, so I should think about this. So, because normally when I make these I would do the opening first, and just need to think for a second, if this comes there, yeah, this should be alright, but no, sorry, I'm thinking back to front. What I should be doing is, putting the reference plane below the top. That makes a lot more sense. And then, yeah, okay, and that's helpful actually, because I can see then with these glazing bars, that gives me another clue to the height. Yeah, that's really good actually. So the curve should come down above that glazing bar. That's actually an important detail. So, so here, that's going to be too low, and because again the reference plane there's below this glazing bar, so I'm going to make that maybe 400. That's good. So then you can see the reference plane above this glazing bar. So to now change the shape of the opening, it's fairly simple. You can just draw an arc by stepping to the midpoint, sorry, not the midpoint, the intersection of the reference plane and the so I'm sure you can see that intersection point, and then on the other side, same intersection between the reference plane and the side, and now I can come up and snap to the midpoint at the top, and then using trim to corner, you can simply join sides to the top, and now I can delete that that top line, and that's basically going to give me everything I need for the opening. Now, if this needs to be adjustable, you might have some problems, just being honest, because to set parameters for an arch or any curve like this is a bit more involved than what we've been looking at so far. So I'm not going to show you how to do that. As long as you've got the size set before you start this, then it shouldn't need to be adjusted. So hopefully you can just draw it the shape it needs to be, and you won't need to change the height afterwards. So tick to finish, and here we go. It's giving me an error straight away. I knew this would happen, telling me the constraints aren't satisfied. That's okay. I'm just going to remove constraints, and then we'll have a look in 3D, and you'll see then we've got this curved opening. So even at that point, I could load it in, and it's going to give us a pretty close representation of the window. But of course, the sashes should follow the curve, and so should the rest of the frame. So I'll make those changes as well. So the extrusion at the top there, once it's selected, can be edited obviously just by selecting Edit Extrusion. And I'm deliberately doing that in a 3D view so that I can see how it was made. I just want to show you there. It's been made by extruding up from the ground plane. So the rectangle there you can see sits on the plane on the ground, and then it's given a height, and it's above the ground because the height here you can see is set to start at 2565. So there's no way really I can turn that into a curving member. So I'm going to delete it. And again, it's giving me a problem with the constraints. That's okay. So I can just go. Oh, I got out of that. Yeah, cancel sketch mode. Yeah, and just delete the whole extrusion. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. It is the window head. That's spot on. Yeah. So again, delete. And if you see a message like this, you'll see these come up all the time, and you'll see OK is grayed out. So hopefully you have seen something like this before. And so I've actually realised that it'll usually give you an option to make it work instead of cancelling. If you look to the left, you'll see an option there, and if you choose that, then what you're trying to do will work. It's just that it needs to do this thing to make it work. So going to remove constraints, but I'm okay with that. So I'm going to click there, and it's basically removing constraints from these pieces at the end, but we're going to reattach those anyway. So now to make the curved piece at the top, I'm going to go back to the exterior elevation and just go to create, extrusion, and since I know what the properties are, I'm going to set those, and so remember we've got the material timber painted and then the parameter frame material. Now, something I don't think I've shown any of you yet is the subcategory option. This is one of those almost hidden things in Revit that is really useful. So for Windows, you'll have these options set up for the common parts of a window. So you can even set this to be a sill or a head, but a simpler option is just to set all the framing pieces to frame mullion, and that's what I'm going to choose. So then I can make my shape, and I'm just going to check the distance I used before. I think it was, yep, 35. Okay, so I'm going to use pick lines, pick the arch that I've already made, and then I'll put the, I'll change the offset value up here to 35, and then I'll pick that arch again to do a new curve below it. Then I'm actually going to put that offset value back to 0 now. So if you don't know about this one, that's an extremely useful option as well when using pick lines, the ability to set an offset. But here I've set it back to 0 so that I can pick the edge of this piece and have the line go back exactly following that edge. And now with trim to corner, I can join these lines together. It's always good practice to tidy things up as you draw them. Over here, again, same thing, pick lines and then trim to corner. Now you can think about locking things together here, but remember you're probably going to try and make this the size it is, and hopefully you won't need to change the size. So locking won't be as important here. So I'm going to finish that, and actually I might change this view to hidden line so you can see there that, well, it's made it. I don't know why I can't. Oh yes, we can't see it because it's on the back. So I can see it here, just, but otherwise it's hidden by the window. So I'm going to go to Edit Work Plane on the ribbon there. So I have to have the object selected to get that Edit Work Plane option. And, oh yeah, here's my problem. So I've got the exterior reference plane set, and I'm going to change that to center front back. It's a really nice simple option when you're making things like windows, to try and do as much centered on that center front back plane as you can. But I still can't see the frame because I also need to set the extrusion start and end values. So I'm going to just try for that -50 for the start and 50 for the end. There, now I can see it. So I might just show you that from the other side. So I'm not making it on the left side so you can see what that, or how that height is being set. So if I look down here, there we are. So there's the cell, and this is the center line. And I'm going to just measure that now. And so you can see it's 120 across actually. And then measuring from the center line, it's 50 mil that way, and so yeah, 70 the other way. Okay, so the piece I've just made, that's it. Oh no, that's not it. Either, so I just need to select the right thing. I might go to a 3D view to get that. Okay, so there's the piece I've just made. And so here you can see it doesn't quite line up, and if I go to thin lines, Oh no, so it actually is lining up on this side. Okay, so that's the side where it projects 50, so that was right. But on the other side, oh no, it is right. So yeah, I thought I'd use 50 and 50, but oh yeah, no, the sill, that's right, sorry. Okay, so the sill does come out a bit more. Yeah, so this does come out 20 mil, but the others, just so it's clear, hopefully. Yeah, if you look at this one in plan, so you can see it was made in a different way, but if you measure again from the centre line, it's 50 mil either way. And so this is the plane. If I just use tab there, that's the plane that I've used to draw that curved shape. It sits on this plane called centre front back. And so if I have the start and end at 50 and minus 50, it's going to go 50 mil above and 50 mil below. So that's often a good way of setting the depth of pieces for all sorts of things, like windows. So that's done. And now I need to get the sash to follow the curve as well. And this is where it doesn't hurt to look at the way the joiners would have made the real window. Unfortunately, though, we can't look at the other one. What I'd suspect is that the sash in the middle is just a regular sash, and they have a straight edge there. You never know. Maybe it is curved. Definitely, though, the side ones would be curved. So this is the part I've really been avoiding, because it's not the easiest thing. Right, so what we need to do is get that curve in this sash panel family file. Because remember, to edit this sash panel, I need to go into a separate file. The sash is in its own file called sash panel. So you need to think a bit about file management when you start to do these things. And so I'm going to, firstly, before I try and do anything else in another file, make sure I save this file with a new name. I can't emphasise how important this is, and because I've made the mistake of forgetting this many, many times, and you will probably yourself, but you've still got to try to remember. So here, this is 3-panel sash window. If I make the big mistake of saving this file, then I'm overwriting that file with the square top with the curved top. And that's a problem, because I lose the work that I've already worked so hard on. So, save as family, and then I just need to change the name, make sure I know where I'm saving it, and so I'm going to keep it as 3-panel sash window, but add my arch. Yep, that'll do. Just arch or something at the end, just so it's a different name before I save it. And now I'm going to select one of my sash panels, go to Edit Family, and then maybe even here, before I do anything else, I'll do the Save As right away. So I'll again save as Family, and we'll call this sash panel. We're going to need a few different versions of this, so this will be Arch. Yeah. Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, once you go to Edit Family, and then you can save as that one. So just save as Family. So I know I'm going to need several versions of this sash panel arch, so I'll call this maybe sash panel arch left, and it's for the 2-panel. So left to, yeah, that should be, or 2P. That will remind me what it's for. Okay, so in the exterior or the front elevation, I can obviously make my changes, but how do I know what the curve is? And this is where you need to start getting a little bit tricky. Using the Switch Windows menu, you can switch back to the file easily, but what you'll probably find if you're doing a lot of these things, switching between different files, is that if you use the button next to it, close hidden windows, that'll simplify that list a lot. So here you can see I've only got 3 files open, but I had a big list because it showed me all the different views. And now I can easily switch between the 3 files I have open, and I want to go back to the 2-panel/window file, 2-panel/window arch it is now. And then to get that curve, the handy option is to draw a line, and there are several line drawing tools, but I'm going to use a symbolic line, and you'll find those on the Annotate tab. So there you can see Symbolic Line, which is one you may not know about, but it's an easy tool. It's just a line drawing tool. So here, if I click Symbolic Line, then I can go to Draw an Arc and trace that part of the opening. So they're my 2 endpoints, which basically are at the 2 corners where the sash should finish. And then I'm going to snap to the curve in the middle. So now I can select that curve, and you can see hopefully the location there. And so then to get this into my other file, I'm just going to use copy and paste. So I'll just click the copy to clipboard button in the clipboard panel, switch up here to my new sash panel arch left 2p, and then under modify I can go to paste, and it's not going to let me choose any of these options that I want, so I'm going to just choose paste from clipboard and click to place that manually. Now if you're wondering why it's the opposite way, it's because I'm probably working on the interior side and I copied it from the exterior side, but that's actually okay. I might even delete it from here, and then I'll change to the back elevation and then paste again, just so that it's facing the same way. There we go. So now I need to make sure that the height is right. And again, to get this, I'm going to switch back to the other file, the 3-panel sash window arch. And I might then just measure from the corner of the sash up to the corner of the end of the arc. So it's that 504.6. So back in the back view of the other file, to make that easier to set out, I might do something like a reference plane again, and just to mention that, let's make sure I drag the dimension, so I keep clicking on it. So just dragging the grid there, that's it, down onto the bottom. Then I can change it to, what is it, 504.6. There we go. And then if I select the arc, click the move button, snap it from the endpoint down into the reference plane, and finally then I've got enough to be able to modify my my sash frame. So yeah, so this is another extrusion that's been made by extruding up from the ground plane. And then the inside though is a void, and it's been made in this plane. So when you go to edit things like this, I'll just click on edit extrusion. Yeah, it is. So what I do there with this outer extrusion selected, by going to edit extrusion, if I can't edit it or see the profile in this I think the electrician looked at this, got a bit upset with some of the students when he was in here and deliberately made it like that. I was here when he was doing it. So anyway, so with the again, so with that option there, you don't need to do this, but it's good to see that it's asking or giving the option of changing to either of these plan views, and that tells me it's been made again in the ground plane and extruded up. And that means I can't edit it to put this curve in, because it wasn't made in this elevation plane. But I don't want to remake it because I've already done other things like the void in here, and don't want to have to do that. So what I'm going to do instead is make a new void. Create void extrusion, and with pick lines, I can pick the arc I've made, and then draw lines up, across, and back down. Now, you may have to bring these out a little bit later, but try it this way first. If you can get it lined up on the sides, that's much easier than the other way. And then to make sure it cuts through everything, I'm going to go up here to the properties and change the extrusion start to -500, and then the extrusion end I'll make 500. So altogether that means this void is going to be 1 metre deep, which is way bigger than it needs to be, but that will definitely then go through all of the things I want it to. Finish it, and then maybe I'll show you in 3D, and you can see then what I mean by it being much bigger than it needs to be, but that's okay. So I've got the top off, but I then need to put in a few more things. So the void there, you can see, is still there on the inside. There are actually 2 voids now. So I've got the one that I've just done for the curve, and then the void I did for the inside cutout, which is this rectangular looking thing. And in the elevation view, back again, I can select it there as well. So that again is the same void. This one was made in the plane that I'm looking at. So if I go to edit extrusion, oh no, it wasn't. Okay, I thought it was. No, it's yeah, that's a void. Okay, no, I made this one the same way. Alright, so okay, I'm going to have to delete that. So I will delete it, and I'll make it again. There's no other easy option really. So so I'm going to go and make a new void extrusion, and then using pick lines. Oh, and sorry, I'm going to cancel that and just show you. Oh, that's my glass. Sorry, that's why that's still got the line there. So if you're wondering why it looks like there's the frame, that's actually the edge of the glass. We'll have to come back to that afterwards. But again, now I can go and make my void extrusion, and again I'm just going to double check this distance. I think it's 35. Oh no, it's 40. Okay, so let's go check. So back to pick lines. I'm going to make the offset there 40. I can pick the arc at the top, and then now let's see, I'll just choose the outside edge of the sash now to get the other sides. That's it. So that's the void that I need. So I was cutting the hole out from the outside. Tick to finish, and back in the 3D view. I click to one side. Yep, there we are. So that's, well, let's see. There's some things going on that you might be surprised about. It's actually the right shape, but we've lost a few elements that were inside the opening there. And the reason is that the void is cutting away all of them. And this is something you'll find happens automatically when you make a void. So you've got to be prepared for this. all you need to do to uncut or make those things not disappear because of the void is go up to here, you've got the cut tool, then click on the down arrow and go to uncut geometry. So this is really important when you start working with voids. You'll often find that they are cutting away things you don't want them to cut away. So with uncut, now I can choose the void and then get some of these other pieces, and so you'll need to move the cursor around to highlight them and get the right ones. So luckily I've got a little bit of it left here that I can still see. So there's my glazing bar, and I'm going to select that. So now that's, you can see, come back, and I know that was, sorry, that wasn't the glazing bar, that was the glass. So now the glass you can see has come back. And so then I'm going to select the void again, and again here you just need to keep an eye on the display and make sure you can see the right object as you move your cursor. So tricky because there are quite a few objects there. But there you can see that's the void that I've just made, and so I'll select it first, and now get the glazing bars, there we are, and they're back. Now, this is where you've got to make an executive decision. If you were fussy, and I would be if I was doing this for myself, you could take the glass out from inside the frame here, and the bit of the glazing bar sticking up. But look, for an interiors project especially, no one will ever know all the good work you've done. They'll never see it. So you could argue that it's pointless, and that the way it is there is good enough. So I'm going to save it. Save as family. Oh no, sorry, I've done that already. So so instead save. Don't need to save as because I've done that. And then I can go loading the project at the top and make sure it's loading into the family file, the window, 3panel/arch. Click OK, and it'll give me an option then to place the window, but I can't place it in this view anyway. So I can just cancel now, and I can still select a sash, also one of the sash families, and looking in the properties panel, there's the one I've just loaded. So again, it's got a problem with the constraints. That's fine, I'll remove constraints. So there we are. The other side is a mirror image, so I can delete the one that's there, select the one that I've just inserted, and use mirror pick axis, pick the center line there, flip it over. That's probably good enough for now. You could constrain it or lock it to the reference planes, but again, the size hopefully won't need to change, so again, that's something you can maybe leave for now. So I'm going to save this file and then use load into project, tick the one at the top, OK, and again it's giving me a chance to place that family. Still got a couple of little issues. You can see there that the window jambs either side are still too high, but there's nothing to stop you placing it and doing it all the way along that facade, and then coming back and changing the family and just reloading it. Okay, so I found when you're doing this, it doesn't have just to put one in, make sure it can go in to the wall, but I don't want it to be there obviously, so I can delete that one now that I've placed it, and then select the ones that do need to change. Here I'm holding down control to select multiple. There'd be quicker ways of doing this, but this won't take too long. And then now in properties, all I need to do is choose the one that I've just loaded and make sure I get the right size, which was 3830 by 2400. And make sure I'm getting the right one, so that's the 2-panel one. So it's down here, 3panel/arch window, which is luckily only set up with one size anyway, so that makes an easy selection. There you go. It definitely makes a difference. Yeah, a bit worried about the height, but let's see. It's a shame we can't see the 3-panel one. Yeah, so maybe we'll have to revisit this if you need to adjust the height, but I can do that later. So maybe I'll let you try to do that with the 2-panel ones, and I can always spend some more time with you on that as well. I think that is a bit low, even on this side with the 3-panel ones. So you probably need to make some adjustments, but at least if you get that basic setup where you've got the curve in there, then you can work from there to refine it. So I'll give you some time to have a look at that, and then we can go on to some other things.